Road Trips and Missing Persons by Adriana in the Snow, Chapter 11. Virgil smiled awkwardly at the cashier when he entered the gas station and went straight to the coffee machine. He went ahead and grabbed the largest cup size for Patton because they were going to be on the road for a while. He didn't quite understand why the man was going to be driving for Virgil when there was no knife involved, but hopefully it wasn't a trick. It was probably a trick. He should probably tell the cashier he'd been kidnapped. But then the cashier would definitely call the cops, and, knowing his mother, Virgil would definitely be screwed. So, instead, Virgil put the lid on Patton's now-filled coffee cup and found that there was one plain donut with chocolate frosting still in the case. He grabbed that and then searched around the candy aisle for a bit. He finally settled on a pack of Red Vines and grabbed a blue raspberry slushie. If he was going to get axe-murdered by some guy that kept a stuffed bear named Barnaby in his car, he was going to do so with a blue tongue. He handed over the $20 bill to the cashier and then gathered up the snacks and drinks to take them to the car. He caught Patton with his phone in his hands while he was pumping gas. "Hey, what are you doing?" Virgil asked. "Just sending a text to my brother so he doesn't worry too much," Patton replied quickly. Virgil gave him a suspicious look. When it became clear that Virgil wasn't going to willingly take a step closer to the car after that, Patton sighed and held out his phone. "You can see," he said. Virgil set the drinks and snacks down on the hood of the car and took the phone. The phone indeed was open to just a string of emojis sent to someone called Lolo in Patton's phone. The string of emojis read, shopping cart, cheese, 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 coffee, car, baby, knife, sad, car, hamburger, fries, ice cream, phone, mouth zipped shut, radio, crying, sleeping, shocked, feet, hand with phone, teddy bear, gas, map, coffee, sunglasses, thumbs up, heart. "There is no way he'd understand that," Virgil said. "I barely understand it and I lived it." He paused. "I am not a baby." Patton snatched the phone back. "I didn't say you were. You typed knife baby in emoji," Virgil said. "Baby with a knife, actually," Patton said, unrepentant. He grabbed his coffee and donut off the hood of the car and opened the driver's door to put the drink in the cup holder and the donut on the seat. Then he went to finish up pumping the gas. Virgil frowned, but he did pick up his snack and drink and get into the passenger seat. He'd already thrown his lots in with the possible serial killer anyway. Patton finished pumping the gas and got back into the car. "Don't sit on your—" He sat on his donut. "Oops," he said. He sat up and grabbed the donut to take a bite. "Still good," he declared with a grin. Virgil rolled his eyes and took a long drag of the slushie. "Don't get brain freeze." "Whatever da—" He froze, choking on the word. Patton looked over at him, his face turning serious suddenly. "Hey, kiddo," the man said softly. He reached over to put a hand on his shoulder and looked at him with warm, earnest eyes that made Virgil want to believe his words. "I'm going to make sure you're okay? Virgil looked away from his far too knowing eyes. "You don't even know me. Why would you?" "I like helping people when I can. A couple hours of driving aren't much to make sure someone is safe. I spend a lot of my life driving anyway." "What do you even do?" Virgil asked. "I mostly do odd jobs for my brother." "That doesn't sound like a real job," Virgil said. He started the car and began to back up as he answered. "Do you know much about real jobs, then?" he asked. "Well," Virgil said, no, but still." Patton smiled over at him. "Okay, I answered a question about me." "Did he, though?" Virgil narrowed his eyes at him. "Now you answer a question about you." "Why?" Virgil asked suspiciously. "Well, we have an hour and a half of driving left, and neither of us are kidnapped anymore. We might as well get to know each other." "What's the question?" "What's your favorite subject in school?" Patton asked cheerily. "Really?" Virgil asked. "Is this what we're doing?" Patton just smiled over at him, and Virgil went about tearing open his package of Red Vines. "English," he said, taking a bite of his candy. "I always liked history myself, but English was fun." Virgil hummed. You have any family other than your brother? He asked. Lo has 2 sons. They're twins. Cool, Virgil replied. Favorite color? Purple. So you don't have kids then? Not of my own, Patton replied, but I helped with the twins when they were younger, and I like to think of all of my coworkers as my kiddos. Virgil's face twisted up. He didn't know much about adult workplaces, but I'm sure they appreciate that, Virgil scoffed. I like to think so, Patton said, seeming to not even register the skepticism in Virgil's tone. Was the man ever anything but chipper? Favorite movie? Ratatouille, he said on instinct, and then felt his stomach drop. His favorite movie was Ratatouille because Uncle Emile always insisted on playing it during movie nights. Dad would complain loudly because he knew that Emile and Virgil would spend the rest of the night making jokes about Dad having the same name as the rat. I don't want to play this game anymore, Virgil said, choked. Patton glanced over at him in surprise. Okay, he said softly. Virgil was thankful he didn't try to push. They drove for another 10 minutes. Virgil did his best not to think about everything, but it got increasingly harder. He tugged on the sleeve of his hoodie, his slushy and red vines forgotten. Finally, Patton looked back over at him, his eyes concerned. Virgil curled into himself, expecting him to try to needle Virgil into talking. Instead, he just smiled sadly at him. Why don't we play a different game? Sure, Virgil agreed. Might as well. Maybe it would help. What game? Ooh, Patton said. How about I kill your cows? Lo always threatens to kill me by the end of that game. And that's a good thing? Virgil asked. Yeah, Patton said, because that means I'm winning. Virgil puffed out an amused breath. Okay, how do you play? He asked. Well, Patton said, basically, when you see a group of cows, you can claim them and say, I have 10 cows, or however many there are. Whoever says it first gets the cows. If you see a church or other place people get married, you can say, I marry my cows, and then your cows double. If you see a graveyard, you can say, I kill your cows, and reset the other player back to 0 cows. If you see a barn, you can say, I put however many cows in that barn, and then the cows go in the barn. When they're in the barn, they can't be killed, but they can't be married either, and you have to wait to see another barn before you can take them out again. All right, Virgil agreed. Sure, why not? Great, Patton said. There's a field of them up there. Since you're new to the game, I'll let you grab the first few. Virgil squinted at the cows in the field. I have 6 cows, he said. Nice job, Patton said. Virgil rolled his eyes. He didn't know what was impressive about counting a few cows, but he smiled a bit anyway. They continued to play the cow game for a while. Patton was obviously really good at this game, and obviously trying to not be as good at the game as he actually was, so that Virgil wouldn't lose by 1,000,000 cows. They turned on the radio after a while. Unfortunately, the conspiracy channel had fizzled out by now, so they turned to a local station that played a mix of music. Can I take horses? Virgil asked after about 20 minutes of play. Sure, Patton replied. Go ahead. Okay, I have 4 horses. Ooh, Patton said. That horsey's a palomino. I'll trade you 2 cows for that horse. Virgil was pretty sure that's not how it was supposed to work, but Patton was 18 animals ahead. 20, Virgil countered. Patton glanced over at him. 5. 15. 10. 11, so I'm winning for once. He thought about it for a long moment. Deal, he finally said. Yes, Virgil said excitedly. I'm winning. Patton smiled over at him. I have 5 cows, he said. Virgil's head shot up to look out the windshield. There were, in fact, 5 cows in the pasture right in front of them. Damn it! Patton coughed meaningfully. You can't murder me like that and then get mad when I cuss, Virgil grumbled. Aw, cheer up, kiddo. At least we haven't found a graveyard yet. But when we do, you will guiltlessly murder all of my cows, Virgil said, because you are truly evil. Patton just laughed at him. Virgil grumpily reached forward to turn up the radio so he could ignore him easier. The song that was playing faded out as he did so, and the radio jockey came on the air. Quick traffic update. There's been an accident on I-26. A semi-truck full of cattle rolled over near exit 52 and eastbound traffic has been stopped. If you're on I-26, we suggest you find an alternative route as it will take a while to get all of the cows rounded up. Well, I'm glad we got off the interstate when we did, said Patton. Yeah, agreed Virgil. It would suck to be stuck in the middle of that. He paused and listened to the radio jockey continue to explain that the semi had been carrying at least 150 cows. Hey, Patton, can I claim cows remotely?